Helldivers. What can I say? I'm pretty late to the party on this one, let alone making a YouTube video. You see, the only real reason I started playing this game was my mates needed someone to round out their team. But damn, this game is good. I mean really good. I haven't been this excited about a shooter since Halo and COD. And yes, I know, Halo and COD are first-person shooters and Helldivers is a third-person shooter, but I mean, I'm in my 30s. I don't play shooters anymore. But the first thing that stood out to me, however, wasn't the gameplay. It wasn't the setting of the game, or the universe, or even the satire. It was the music. You see, the music of Helldivers sets up the universe and its satire. It even sets up the player's expectation for gameplay as you literally dive into hell. And that track, A Cup of Liberty, as you drop into hell, is a masterpiece.
Hellpod launch initiated.
The themes for Helldivers has its roots in ultranationalism and patriotism satire. This is reflected in the music as well. While most people would say that Helldivers themes and music pulls from the satire of Starship Troopers, which it does by the way, but I'll get to that at a later stage. The influence of this music goes further back than Starship Troopers and has its roots in 19th century romantic classical music. Yes, we are going that far back. The 19th century was a very turbulent time with political revolution and economic shift. The century was marked by uprising of people who fought against monarchies for national independence. National independence kinda sounds super earthy to me. With the shift starting in the late 18th century with the French and American Revolution. Certain types of music and composers of that time wrote music to instill national pride and unifying principles. When you hear the words for Super Earth, it's really meant to fill you with pride and patriotism, even if that's subconscious. But the ridiculousness and exaggerated music of Helldivers really sells you on the satire of the universe instead. I mean, the soundtrack even has its own national anthem. This shit's bonkers. You better believe, soldier, you'll be spreading managed democracy to those tyrannical bugs, socialist bots, and pesty squids. So what are those elements that are used in a soundtrack to instill that sense of patriotism? Well, with any good song or soundtrack, you need a good emphasis on melody, harmony, rhythm, timbre, and texture. All those things make a really good song. However, the best examples you can take away from 19th century music is the march and the fanfare. The march and the fanfare originally had its roots in the military. However, in the 19th century, this evolved and these genres were used to establish national identity. Some famous marches is the Star Wars Imperial March and Stars and Stripes Forever. The strong melody of the brass and the driving of the snare, tom, and bass drum forms the backbone of any good march and fanfare. However, Hollywood's taken the humble march and fanfare and adapted it. So why am I telling you this? Well, firstly, it's interesting to understand the history of where this music draws its inspiration from, and secondly, the composer for Helldivers, Wilbert Roget, draws on a lot of musical tropes from films. You see, modern film scores uses the marches and fanfares, rhythmic, textual, and structural language to signify authority and heroism. But in addition, Hollywood has created a sonic language of sorts that the viewer expects to hear subconsciously. It sells the viewer on what the movie's actually about. For example, a war movie's soundtrack is probably going to have trumpets or brass at certain points, where a chase scene will likely have fast runs of dramatic strings. This so-called rulebook was created in part by the composer John Williams. Personally, I can hear a lot of influence of John Williams and Wilbert's writing, and not just in the music for Helldivers, but also in the music he's written for other soundtracks as well. If you don't know who John Williams is, he's considered the granddaddy for music composition for modern films. He's written some of the most iconic music themes for film in history, such as Star Wars, Indiana Jones, Harry Potter, and Jurassic Park. If there was a soundtrack from a film from the 90s and the 2000s that used an orchestra that you loved, it was probably written by John Williams. Oh, by the way, for those millennials that love Jurassic Park and the main theme from it. Yep, that one. That could be considered a modern day fanfare. And John's style of writing for music draws on a lot of 19th and 20th century classical music, but personally I feel John's soundtracks have a certain sound and feel to them. And it's pretty hard to be a film or video game composer who hasn't been influenced by the works of John Williams. Moving on from John Williams, Wilbert's explained in interviews and panels that he's used the music as a narrative tool to tell stories to players. He said the music was essentially meant to tell a three-part plot of an action movie from when you start on the destroyer to when you extract from a mission. I mean, that sounds pretty cinematic to me. Wilbert has also expressed in interviews and news articles what movies influenced the soundtrack of Helldivers, saying movies such as Starship Troopers, RoboCop, Platoon, War of the Worlds and The Terminator were all inspiration for writing the soundtrack. On the topics of movies, I wanted to discuss the similarities between Starship Troopers and Helldivers, and the best comparison I can come up with is the Klindafu drop scene in Starship Troopers, in which a number of troopers drop down onto the home planet of the Bugs after their attack on Earth. The music exudes this heroic and patriotic feeling with the brass and the trumpets playing unison lines in the melody, while the film contrasts this, showing freaked out soldiers awaiting to face the horrors as they descend down onto Klindafu. What I love about this scene is as soon as the fighting actually starts, there is no music. War isn't heroic, every soldier has now entered their own personal hell. And this is the key that makes this scene so great in Starship Troopers, the absence of music. Wilbert said in the past when writing the score for Helldivers, he's viewed it like writing music for a horror movie at times. Just like with the Klindafu drop scene in Starship Troopers, at the beginning of every mission of Helldivers, you have this heroic and patriotic brass section with the excitement and the movement of the strings as you drop down onto the planet to spread managed democracy. But just like with Starship Troopers, as you drop down onto the planet, there's only this kind of ambient noise, a feeling of uncertainty. The intensity increases, of course, the more that's happening on screen. And you know, there isn't anything really heroic about dropping down onto a planet to extract their resources or, eliminate one of their species. But the Ministry of Truth might have something to say about that. And it's also clear that the combat cues were written with tension, unease, and horror in mind. Something that needs to be pointed out as well is the unique attention Wilbert's made to writing the three different themes for the three different factions. With the Bug theme, you have elements of 20th century classical music with the fast screeching strings and the heavy brass, creating an emphasis on chaos and panic. While the Bot theme focuses on electronic and metallic drums and low brass, the main theme on the track is essentially a march, has a feeling of coldness and dread. And finally, the Squid theme with elements of Eastern textures with the use of the flute and the percussion, creating a feeling of eldritch horror. I think with everything said about the soundtrack, you can see a lot of love, energy and tension in the writing of the soundtrack. I personally feel that this is something that should be celebrated and acknowledged more in the video game space. And I understand in the last 10 to 15 years there's been a shift in terms of more people writing music for video games and the quality of that music being better. But I feel Helldivers' soundtrack sets a new bar in the video game industry. With Wilbert winning a BAFTA and being nominated for a Grammy, I do think the industry and the players agree. If you like this content and want to see more videos, check out my channel to watch videos on video game soundtracks, and subscribe to watch more videos in the future. Cheers.
You just do what you did last time and just literally stream the video in the chat. As long as there's nothing about me being insensitively racist, we're fine. China.
Clipped.
Oh god.
What's that? Oh god! Oh shit! Oh! I fell off the rock and died. Okay. Oh! Oh god! Oh god! Oh no! Oh shit! I'm out of here.
It's that damn Boughton Road initiative.
China! China! Who left the air conditioning on? Oh, the fire blew up my car. That's the worst possible place to current plan. Oh god. What the hell? I killed myself? How does that work? I think the bullets ricocheted off the gate and killed me. Oh god! Let's drop it. Meeting around. They're definitely not getting through that. They throw gas in the napalm parachute. Except for the flying guy. My eyebrows are gone. Whoa, the laser. Oh god! Oh, how did I survive that? I'm so far away to get him on my in front of me. That's so fine. Oh god. Gosh.
Nothing much really. Did a whole bunch of cooking and stuff.
I want you to cook.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Well, you guys need to pull your finger out.